The question surrounding Xbox first-party games and whether it needs PlayStation 5 to succeed is something we will continue to look at as we move forward with the new Xbox strategy of putting their games on the PS5. The most recent release, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, was a phenomenal game, got reviewed very well. I've played through it and beat it. It is very, very well done. One of the best games, in my opinion, of 2024. Fortunately, it may not get its recognition because it released in December, and it can't win any awards until next year's Game Awards. So we'll see if the industry forgets about it by then with everything releasing in 2025. But when you take a look at that perfect storm of Xbox's first party release, releasing it at a high quality, getting good reviews, people were wondering if this game would do well commercially. And initially there was a lot of doubters out there, especially because of the sales charts on Steam, or the concurrent player counts on Steam, which was about 12,000 right at the launch of the game itself. And you had people asking if this meant that it was a flop, if it was a game that just did not sell well enough, and if this means that Xbox definitely needs PlayStation to make it commercially successful, which is why they were releasing it on the PS5. And when that first started going around, I didn't think so. I thought there was more to this story. Steam numbers don't show off anything. This is a game that launched day one into Xbox Game Pass. It probably has a majority of players on the Xbox platform. And then later on, we got numbers in terms of how well this did sell. And in fact, Indiana Jones did very, very good, and it was commercially successful. We got these numbers that did pop up here from Matt Piscatella, saying it was the second best-selling game in the US when it did launch in that week, and the third most played game on the Xbox Series X and S. And Matt Piscatella saying, anyways, don't usually post stuff about weekly rankings, but Indiana Jones and the Great Circle was the number 2 best-selling video game for the week ending December 14th in US dollars, trailing only Call of Duty Black Ops 6. So clearly did very good commercially, and I think a lot of this has to do because of the Xbox fan base and the Xbox players on the Xbox console. Game Pass probably did very well in terms of people that checked it out and had people subscribing to it. And we know now that Xbox does not need PlayStation to succeed, so much so that Disney has reportedly picked up the phone and wants more of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle because of how much of a success it has been. We have this article here from GamesRadar.com saying Indiana Jones and the Great Circle has been a pretty great play, but it's also been a seemingly great success as rights holder Disney reportedly wants more indie games in the future. This comes away of Windows Central Jez Corden saying that he's heard that Disney has picked up the phone and wants more Indiana Jones. He said this during their Xbox 2 podcast. And earlier in the month, Lucasfilm's games vice president and general manager Douglas Riley spoke about the possibility of more whip-cracking adaptations too. So Disney is looking at Indiana Jones, looking at the numbers, and everything comes down to the mighty dollar at the end of the day. They wouldn't want to just put more Indiana Jones if it did not sell well and do well. And it clearly has. And this really, I think, does tell us Xbox does not need PlayStation to succeed. If they put out a good quality game, something that has some IP notoriety like an Indiana Jones, or even if you think about their other first-party games that people do know about, they don't need to actually put those games on the PlayStation 5 to succeed. But it is very smart commercially to be able to use the PlayStation fans, make more money off of them, make the game even more successful so that we are guaranteed more content in the future. One of the things that I find when it comes to this strategy too is Indiana Jones, because it is a licensed IP from Disney, that probably plays a major role here into where this game does get released. It is coming out on PlayStation 5 in 2025, and those sales numbers will be interesting to follow as well. Will it be as successful on PS5 as it is on Xbox? And if Xbox is looking at something like this, a single player experience where gamers pick it up, they probably only run through it once. The majority of people put in maybe 20 hours or so, and then they move on to something else, but it could still be successful commercially. Do they want to continue putting every single game on the PS5? It's a question that will be asked throughout 2025. We haven't had a clear answer yet. I know Phil Spencer has said there is no red line. And then after you had Matt Booty coming out and say it is a case-by-case basis, from my experience, I would probably expect more Xbox games on PS5 than less. I think a lot of the catalog will be coming. You see a lot of the pundits out there saying that pretty much everything is coming over. You have the Halos and the Gears and all that stuff will end up on PlayStation 5, but there's been no confirmation of that. However, I think if a game like Indiana Jones and the Great Circle can succeed without the PlayStation numbers, In no way would Halo and Gears not succeed as well if they were to just keep it on the Xbox platform. But from the business perspective, you can have a game successful on Xbox without the extra players out there, and then you also put it on PlayStation a few months after its release. Xbox is going to be in a very, very strong position, already more so than they are when you look at their subscription and Game Pass and all of the games that they do have from Activision, Blizzard. You look at a game like Call of Duty and how that money just continuously rolls in from that live service. It is going to be a very big 2025 with the amount of games that do drop. And we will get more announcements about the release potentially on PlayStation 5 going forward into the future. But all of the discussion out there that Xbox can't release a game that will be successful only on the Xbox platform, or that Indiana Jones was a huge failure. You also had the whole culture wars thing for this game leading up to its launch. And then right after we started seeing the Steam numbers, you saw all of these people pop up with their videos saying that it was a massive failure because they had made it for the modern audience. But clearly, if you took any time to play this game had none of the stuff that people do complain about when it comes to the culture war surrounding this game. It was a very, very well made game from top to bottom. And Machine Games, they're going to continue to do stuff like this. They're going to continue to hopefully get more Indiana Jones games, and then we'll also get some more Wolfenstein in the future. And the other thing that they do have, which is a huge thing, is id Tech. And id Tech, I think when you look at how amazing this game looks graphically and how well it does run, something that needs to be passed on to every single Xbox studio out there, and get people to learn id Tech, whether they use it on their games or not. Get them to learn it so that it is an option going forward. And I think when you look at how good it ran on the consoles, it's probably better than UE5, with UE5 kind of, so far from what we have seen, there's been a lot of issues with Unreal Engine 5 on the current generation of consoles. I'm sure they'll get worked out, and I'm sure games will still be able to run fine and look great, but id Tech to me is that thing that Xbox needs to look at, spreading around every other studio at Xbox. In fact, it did so well that Digital Foundry, as we know, they are all about their analysis, graphically, frame rates, and all of that type of stuff. Digital Foundry gave Indiana Jones and the Great Circle the #1 spot for the best games graphics of 2024, even ahead of Hellblade 2. Which I'm not that surprised. I mean, I would have thought maybe Hellblade 2 would be the top graphical game of the year just because of how beautiful it is, but it is also a much more narrow game. It is a very cinematic experience. There isn't a huge amount of gameplay in Hellblade 2, if you're being completely honest, comparatively to Indiana Jones, which is a far bigger game, has hub worlds. There's so much more going on in that game, and to me, it's a overall better game, much better game than Hellblade 2. And it still looks as good as it looks. So Xbox is right now firing on all cylinders. They're putting out good games, getting good reviews, selling well, being commercially successful, and they're bringing the tech to the forefront and pushing the industry forward in terms of graphics and everything. So if you're an Xbox fan, I'm an Xbox fan, I play mainly on my Xbox. I do have everything, but Xbox is my platform of choice. There's a lot to be excited about going forward. And you do know now, they don't need PlayStation to survive. That is just something that they're doing in order to continue to expand out, change the industry, as well as make more money. But putting it on PlayStation is going to be just adding more money to their pockets to bring more games to us on Game Pass and everything. We'll see how it does sell on PlayStation, because they've had some hit and misses. Like Sea of Thieves has done very well, but you look at even a game like Hi-Fi Rush didn't do very well on the PS5. Pentiment didn't do very well. Grounded is another one they put multi-platform, which I think did well. So it's the live service stuff that has been hitting on the other platforms, but we'll see if Indiana Jones' single player experience will do good. I think it will, because of the IP and just how known and how popular Indiana Jones is. And we will most likely be getting some more of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, or at least a sequel, maybe with a different name, from Machine Games. But I'll end the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.